Hello you, welcome to Geekism and welcome to Prehistoric Kingdom. We're finally jumping in with our first Let's Build, speed build, whatever you want to call it, for this this awesome new title that is currently in like super early alpha right now. So we're quite limited with what we can actually do with the game. The main thing though that they really want us to sort of try out and test on the alpha here is the modular building system, which is great because that's the kind of thing we here at Geekism are super into. So we're going to start off with not one of the huge giant dinosaurs. We're starting off with Microraptors that are basically these kind of prehistoric looking bird things, kind of I guess like the missing link between birds and dinos. I'm not sure, but even so, they look awesome. And they go down in those little aviaries there, but you can actually hide the aviary completely, and they just kind of hang around on the trees. Yeah, probably not the most realistic. They fly around, these birds aren't clipped or anything like that. But, save building a huge net over the whole thing, that probably wouldn't look that great. We're erring on the side of, non-realism at the moment, because let's be honest, we're building Dinosaur Park, so it's not the most realistic thing anyway. Having loads of fun with the pieces though. For those of you who don't know, this game's very similar to Jurassic World Evolution, Planet Zoo, Parkitect, all those sort of park management games. What this one really has got going for it though is the customizability when it comes to this building system here. All of the rock pieces, the wall pieces, and all of those, the textures can be changed on them on the fly as you go, which is really neat. You can also scale items on each of the three axes. You can scale the whole thing up and down, or you can just drag things up and tall and stretch them out and things like that. Pretty much every piece in the game that you can place down, you can do that, which is pretty exciting. Especially for things like rocks. There you go, look, there's me just dragging up and down a rock. I mean, it basically is a 3D modeling software just with the models already there for you. Same with trees. Some stuff does look a little bit crazy if you scale it one way or the other too much, but even just that 5 or 10% scale difference there you can see on these trees is going to give us such an amount of sort of variation in our builds, whereas in other games we've often been limited to just kind of rotating things and lifting them up and down into the ground a little bit. Here, you can really get a lot of variation. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not changing the size of every single piece I put down here. I think that's a little bit overkill. The whole sort of move and rotate still works for the most part. So you'll see a lot of that, but we will be using the that scale system when it really comes in handy, such as moments like this. So we're building a large sort of open area here with these Microraptors in. This is the prehistoric version of flamingos at the front of a zoo. So that's what we're going for here. And I just kind of wanted to have, rather than just this sort of aviary that sat there, I kind of wanted this sort of more open area with a few of them. No, maybe this would probably be more suitable as something like, here's the best way to imagine this, maybe like a lemur island at a regular zoo. That kind of thing is what I got in my head as I designed this. Although I couldn't really do the water yet. Probably the only thing that I've found with the game at this early stage that I've really not been a huge fan of is the clearance for pathing, terrain and water. The distance you need between the path and any terrain changes or the path and any water is really quite extreme. So that's one thing I'd really like them to address, be able to sort of make more extreme terrain changes at the side of paths. Although saying that, it has been shown that you can build paths out of modular pieces and the guests will still walk over them, which is pretty insane. So I think in the next part of this series we're going to start on a T-Rex enclosure, because let's be honest, the T-Rex is the big boy that everyone's interested in. So we're going to start a T-Rex enclosure, and I might try and do it down in a valley where the viewing platform sort of comes over a little bit. See if we can do something like that with that system and see if we can figure it out. But this is a brand new game for all of us pretty much. I have covered this on the channel in the past, but the previous versions that I had have almost I don't know what the word is, you can't tell them between this and them. It's changed so much in development over the last few years into something that I think is really special. A lot of people are very excited about this. I think part of that is just the fact that we haven't really had a good dinosaur zoo game. Jurassic World Evolution was very pretty, and it was very sort of polished, but the actual gameplay personally was quite weak. It almost played like a mobile game, really. Click this, click that, wait for this to happen, wait for that to happen, and the amount of creativity in there was really quite low. They've done some updates on the game since release, but even still, you're never getting that sort of level of creativity like you are in something like the Planet games. But then the other thing I think is that a lot of people are getting a little bit burnt out with the Planet games as well. I know I certainly have with them. Again, no real fault of the game necessarily, just we all played them a lot when they came out. So it's nice to see here this is a bit of a different feel to it. Obviously the graphics are aiming to be a little bit more realistic. Beyond Drew did point out to me that that can mean they can start looking a bit dated eventually. There is something to be said about that slightly stylized look that something like the Planet games goes for, and I do totally agree. But I think here the realism is probably a good way to go for, especially with the dinosaurs, because people want to see those real sort of realistic looking dinosaurs. I'm using air quotes there because we don't really know 100% what dinosaurs look like, do we? The fences, there are spline based fencing in the game, and then also these sort of modular pieces that you can put down. You'll see here I'm forgetting that we can stretch stuff. There we go, 2 pieces there. I'm able to sort of fill out that whole space, and with things like this that have relatively low texture detail on anyway, you can really get away with stretching them and not really causing much of an issue. Whereas something like this log, if you stretch this really tall, it wouldn't look very good, because all of that grain detail of the log you would lose as it got stretched out. So learning what pieces you can get away with really manipulating and which ones you can't, I guess, is going to be a lot of the battle. But even still, at this very early stage, with a relatively limited palette that we've got to work with here, there's some really nice options in there. It's all mostly from the modern set, so it's lots of steel and wood and concrete and things like that. But even still, you can see here, we've got some logs, we've got some ropes, and a little bit of foliage. Again, very very limited palette right now, just to kind of get us all used to the build system. Eventually there will be recolorable items that are not currently in the game. There's also going to be obviously a lot more sort of AI involved with the actual animals and the guests. At the moment the dinosaurs pretty much just wander around. You could put 10 T-Rexes in a little box and they won't really care, so actual animal welfare isn't really in the game yet. And obviously, as you can probably tell, there's no guest AI in there at the moment, other than the fact that they sort of absolutely pile in to look at half a dozen birds and fill the paths. Again, at the moment they're there. I'm treating this game really as like a diorama maker, honestly. We're just going to be able to make these cool little vignettes of dinosaurs pottering about, and then as the game gets developed through the next 12 months, we'll see a lot more upgrades. Talking of 12 months, that's what they have planned to do, apparently, is they want to get a sort of commercial release available within 12 months. Now, whether that's full release or an early access release, I don't know, but they have said there's going to be an alpha that we're currently in, and then in a few months' time there will be a beta, and then a few months' time there will be a commercial release. So that's really exciting to see. I'd be interested to know, with that relatively short timescale, personally, I would be interested to know is what their internal builds look like. I imagine their internal builds do not look like this. I imagine this has probably been scaled back and put together specifically for that sort of quality assurance. That sort of basically what we are is testers for the game, to really have a play with this modular system and not only see if it works, but also see how people are going to push it and see what they do with it. What's up, Skid? Oh, you didn't catch the clownfish? You got to see if you can go and catch one. Oh my goodness! See what you can do then. Go on. So I've got a little YouTuber with me. My son's playing Animal Crossing. Go on then, see if you can catch it. He's had to be home from school today because he's got a runny nose, just a runny nose, but obviously, for safety reasons, at the moment we can't have him there. So he's hanging out with me today, which is why I didn't stream much this morning, and instead have just done this Let's Play, because I can just record the voiceover while he hangs out. So moving on then, didn't want to just put down some birds and put a path around them. So we're doing a little bit of a main street, again, just to kind of get used to the pieces, really. That's all this is just figuring out what the pieces are and what they can do. This mulch piece is are really awesome. They use like a world-based texture, which they often use for like texture paints on the ground, terrain paints. But these ones use it, so you can really scale these up and down, and they still keep pretty good fidelity. So you can make large sort of planters here like this. And then there are a few buildings already in the game. There's a bathroom there, and then the one to the right, I think, is a clothes store, I think it's meant to be. Again, all that happens at the moment is the guests can walk in and out of them, and you suddenly become incredibly rich when you put anything like this down. You'll see there we're currently on 42 million and rising. But to be fair, if I had a theme park that was full of dinosaurs, I probably would expect to take a lot of money. But yeah, a lot of this is all sort of placeholder stuff at the moment. You can definitely see the development team, how they've sort of, I don't know how best to describe it, because I don't really want to say that they're just sort of copying things, but you can really see that with these building structures, personally, I think they're very heavily influenced by Jurassic World Evolution. But then with the modular system, it's very heavily influenced by the Planet series of games, Planet Coaster and Planet Zoo, respectively. I hope they focus more towards the modular, because that's the sort of stuff that I enjoy, and I also think for these kind of games, it's what gives them a bit of a sort of lease of life, really, because you get people like me play the games a lot on YouTube, basically create free advertisement for them. So, and obviously, channels much bigger than me who play this sort of stuff as well. Gives them a lot more mileage if there's this much variation in them. So I do hope they sort of focus towards this kind of modular building, and perhaps give us the sort of TARDIS style buildings that you'd find in something like Parkitect or the Planet games. That you can build around, maybe as well as these large buildings that are already placed down, because obviously, there's a big percentage of players, probably a majority percentage of players who don't really want to sit and build every individual gutter and table and chair, right? So I think maybe a mix of both is the way to go. It would be nice to have the way they've done it with the bird cages is perfect. The aviaries that you can have modern, and also they made it so that you can place it down and then change the skin on it. So you can place it down and then make it modern or whatever other themes we're going to get, or they've got that null option that just strips all of their decoration away, allowing you to do what you like. I think if everything could work that way in the game, I think that would be perfect. If it was a doorway, all that stuff is there, but you click null and you're just left with the doorway, and from there you can build whatever you like. I genuinely think that would be probably the perfect happy medium that a game like this will really thrive with. So here we go, place down a few more planters. I actually did some tables and chairs there, thinking, we've got a little cafe, we can put down some tables and chairs. And then I looked, and the cafe actually has an outdoor seating area already on the front and back of it. So these chairs are kind of superfluous, but they're done now and they look sweet, so I kind of went for it. And it just sort of shows you the kind of things you can do if this kind of gameplay is new to you. If you found me this week with the relaunch of this, just shows you this is the sort of stuff you can do, and there's going to be a lot more as well. This is just me finding my feet. Okay, there's already people out there doing insane, crazy builds with this sort of stuff. I have been away a little bit from the creative gameplay. So it's going to take me a little while to get back up to speed again, but I'm really happy with what I've done. I think it looks great. Quite simple, subdued, but I think it's a good start. Next week, or next episode, later this week, we're going to go for the big guns, and we're going to start working on a T-Rex habitat. So thank you so much for watching. If you're looking forward to that, make sure you click like on this one and subscribe so you don't miss another. Until the next one, be good.